So let's talk about the Sony A7C versus the Sony A6600. Now, these cameras have a lot of differences, but they also have a lot of similarities. They're both fantastic cameras for shooting YouTube videos. So we're gonna break down the differences, the similarities, and which one you should buy in this video.
You gotta just press record.
Hey guys, my name is Nolan with Think Media. Now, if you're wondering which one is the better camera and you want the short answer, well, I would say it's the Sony A7C. But I don't know if you should buy the Sony A7C, so you're gonna wanna stick around and find out which one you should buy if you're thinking about both of these options. First, let's talk about the similarities with both of these cameras. First up, as far as the body goes, you got a similar sized camera. The main difference here that I noticed when shooting on both these cameras is the grip. The Sony A6600 has a larger grip, which makes it easier to hold with one hand, whereas the Sony A7C actually is a bit thicker, making that handle a little bit smaller and a little bit more uncomfortable for you to hold. Now, does this really matter? No, I don't think it really matters, but I wanted to mention that. But overall, these cameras are basically the same size. Another cool thing about these cameras is you can live stream with them. So you are gonna get that great autofocus and the clean HDMI going to your computer. These cameras both shoot in 4K up to 30 frames per second. And then in slow motion, they both can shoot up to 120 frames per second in 1080 HD. As far as the look and the colors go, they are similar. There are some differences, and I'm gonna be talking about that later in the video, but they are pretty similar when it comes down to the color. You're also gonna be able to shoot on HLG, S-Log, Cine 2, Cine 4, all those picture profiles you have on both of these cameras. Both these cameras have the Sony E-mount, but keep in mind that the APS-C lenses are going to vignette on the full frame A7C. I'll be talking about that in the differences, but they both have the E-mount. You're also going to get a mic jack and a headphone jack. You're getting 5-axis in-body image stabilization on both cameras, as well as being dust and moisture resistant. Now, when shooting on these cameras, you can charge both of them while you're shooting, which is really, really nice. On the A7C, you can charge with USB-C. And then on the Sony A6600, you're able to charge with that micro USB cable. Now, that is a difference, and so let's head over and talk about the differences. Before we get to that, make sure to like this video and then comment down below. Let me know which camera you plan on getting and why. When it comes to differences, one of the major factors is the price point. The A7C comes in at $1,800 for the body only, and you can pick up the Sony A6600 for $1,200. And like I said, the colors are similar, but there are some differences. So I've been doing a lot of side-by-side comparisons on the standard picture profile, and sometimes they look really similar, and then some other times there are some major differences. The major differences that I found is the highlight roll-off. You seem to get a little bit more detail in those highlights, a little bit more dynamic range on the A7C versus the A6600. I also found that you get more pleasing skin tones on the A7C, and this also I think has to do with this enhanced color science that they have implemented into the A7C, just like the Sony ZV-1. So though most of the time they're going to look very similar, I found that there are certain times where they look different, and the A7C looks better to me. The next major thing is that full frame sensor on the A7C. So that is a big deal, and why a lot of people are wanting to upgrade to this camera, because they're able to get some better low light performance, and they're also able to get that blurry background a lot easier with the full frame sensor. When it comes down to it, the full frame sensor is just better than the APS-C sensor. Though Sony has amazing autofocus on these two cameras, it's definitely going to be fantastic for any YouTube videos you're going to shoot, or any videos you're going to shoot in general. You're going to get amazing autofocus on both these cameras, but there is a small difference. On the A7C, it has 693 phase detection points, whereas the A6600 has 425 autofocus points. Another big difference with this new A7C is that the camera actually is going to be recording gyro data, where it records the movements of the camera. And so you can plug this into a Sony software on the computer that you get for free, and it's going to do a really good job of stabilizing your footage without getting that, crazy warp effect that you sometimes get in those editing softwares. This is a really cool feature that they've put into this camera, so I'm really glad it has it. Obviously on this new A7C, you have that flip out swivel screen for the LCD monitor, and the A6600 flips up over top of it. Now, one of the things that you need to do with the A6600 is if you're gonna place a mic onto this camera, you need to get this cold shoe, extender that moves it to the side, because if you want to put this up to do some sort of vlog, then you need to have your microphone here rather than blocking your monitor. This hasn't been fixed on the A7C because it just swings out to the side, so you're still able to put that shotgun microphone right on top of the A7C. I feel like the details and the sharpness on both monitors have been great. I think they're pretty similar there. But one thing that I did notice was the A7C actually extends up more and you have more space vertically. But when it comes to that 16:9 preview of whatever video you're shooting, you actually get a smaller screen. It's 2.75 inches diagonally, whereas on the A6600, you're getting 3 inches. So it's barely smaller, but it is something to note. The A6600 also has 2 custom buttons on top of the camera, whereas the A7C doesn't. The A7C also has an exposure wheel where the A6600 does not. To put an SD card into the A6600, it is underneath the camera near that battery. And I've always not liked this because if you put it on a tripod, sometimes it can be hard to open up that door and put in an SD card. So I like that on the Sony A7C. It's on the side of the camera now, so you can keep it on the tripod and replace SD cards. The A7C is also compatible with UHS-2 cards, which have a faster writing speed, where the 6600 takes UHS-1 cards only. The A7C has a crop mode, so if you are using a lens that only works on the 6600, it's going to be compatible on the A7C. You are going to get that crop though. Another thing to think about here is your lens choice. You are going to get cheaper options when it comes to choosing out lenses for that Sony A6600, whereas on the Sony A7C, those full frame lenses can get really, really expensive. So those are the major similarities and differences between these two cameras. They have a lot of great similarities, a lot of differences. And so I've been thinking, it's a $600 price point difference to upgrade to the A7C. Is it worth it? Is it worth $600 to upgrade? Well, it's a bit of a tricky question. So we're gonna find out which one you should buy. First of all, if you have the extra $600 and you want the best camera, then get the Sony A7C. Now, if you're someone who's looking to upgrade to a great YouTube camera, but you don't have lights yet, maybe you don't have a good microphone or audio setup yet, I would say get the Sony A6600, take that $600 and invest in some good lights and a good microphone. Now, if you're someone who just wants the best image possible, I would say hold off, save up that money, save up the $600 and get the Sony A7C. When it comes down to it, with that extra money, if you spend it on the A7C, you can't go wrong. It's a fantastic camera and worth the $600 extra. I hope this video has helped you in deciding which camera is gonna be best for you and for your needs. There's going to be links in the description. And if you want to click on the screen, you can watch some more A7C videos or some A6600 videos. I'll see you guys in the next video.